Okay, so it sounds like most of us are gonna be staying inside, taking it slow. So today I have 25 ideas on how you can pass the time while we all socially distance ourselves. Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name's TK, and around here I just like to share with you ways in which I am living my life with more intention. And with the recent restrictions on large gatherings and going to work and spending time with people that you are closer than 6 feet away from, we're gonna be changing things up a little bit. And I spent a lot of time in the recent days figuring out ways that I can remain productive and refrain from just becoming a constant couch potato. I'll touch on this again in a little bit, but I also have an obsessive habit of just following the news. I'm a former journalist. Comes very natural to me to be very curious and want to be informed, but that habit can also leave you in a constant state of panic and anxiety because these are uncertain times. That's just a fact. And worrying about it constantly isn't going to help the situation. In fact, it might lead you to make some pretty bad decisions, like buying $300 worth of toilet paper so no one else has access to it. Think it through. So the 25 activities I'm going to pitch to you today are solo activities, and they are still things that could be considered productive or in line with self-improvement or intentionality. I actually did several of them before sitting down with you today because I'm not gonna lie, I'm also pretty on edge, but I think it's important that we stay connected with each other in all the ways that we can. My husband's reminded me it's social distancing, not social disconnecting, and there are still a lot of ways that we can show up for each other and do our best for our entire communities during a pretty difficult time. Oh, and before we get too far, if you somehow haven't heard about what social distancing is and what the difference between social distancing and a self-quarantine might be, there's a link to a Vox article that has a pretty comprehensive but not like daunting or overwhelming description in the description below. And on that note, a huge part of social distancing is going to be working from home for a lot of people, and it's something that I am familiar with, and I know what works and doesn't work for me, but I am definitely no expert on the subject. My girl Amy Landino is though, so link to her video on her top working from home tips to stay productive in the iCard and below as well. Okay, so my first idea is probably pretty obvious, but if you are going to be stuck inside for weeks at a time, it's also crucial that you keep your space in order. So number one, clean and declutter. I'm sure you probably have a closet that you've been meaning to tackle maybe just a little longer than you'd like to admit, or a list of deep cleaning tasks that you've been meaning to get to, but like, who wants to scrub the bathroom walls? Well, my friend, there is no time like the present, and I can almost guarantee you can find something around your space to improve in one way or another. Which leads me to number two, tackle that home improvement project that you never seem to get around to. For us, that's gonna be fixing the screen door out to our balcony. I think access to the balcony is gonna be kind of important in the days to come, and Connor ran through it chasing a squirrel last year, and it just hasn't made it to the list of priorities until this week. So this is my personal vow. I will have access to my balcony by next Monday. Knock on wood. Number three is also a pretty obvious one. Try a new recipe. If you've been meaning to bake bread from scratch, now is the perfect time. Personally, I'm going to try to do some homemade pasta. I've done gnocchi before, which I think I might try again because man, that is easy to freeze, it's cheap, and not too difficult, but I do recommend you use a ricer for that one. Try to just come up with recipes from stuff that you have currently available in your cupboards that may have been sitting there for a while, especially since groceries are not stocked like we are used to at the moment. Also, I'm super excited for number 4, my extra time to read. There are tons of online resources if you want to download a free ebook, or maybe there's a title on your bookshelf that has been calling your name, but you just haven't had time for it yet. Numbers 5 and 6 are both a little bit more introspective in terms of activities, and that is journaling and meditation. You knew it was going to be on here sometime, and it's definitely in the top 10. I am personally challenging myself to up my meditation a few minutes every day. Today I did 14 minutes of guided. At some point I want to try 14 minutes unguided. See how it goes. Oh my gosh, there are so many awesome journaling prompts. If you want to do some self-discovery or you need an outlet for creativity, this is an awesome way to just kill some time in a very productive and healthy way. Speaking of productivity, number 7 is building a new habit. While your routine is totally upended and it's kind of a free-for-all for whatever you can make time for in your apartment or outdoors within 6 feet away from people, there's no better opportunity to set up a new daily ritual, a habit of some sort. Whether that's sitting down to meditate every day like me, or if you want to practice waking up at the same time or going to bed at the same time or building some sort of evening or morning ritual, excellent. You can't go anywhere. You might as well do it now. I mean, I did just mention that you can't go anywhere, but I think it's important to reiterate that it is still safe to go outside, and I think fresh air is going to be a very crucial part of maintaining your mental health during this quarantine or self-isolation or social distancing, whatever stage you are in this process. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Nature is a huge part of that for me, so make sure you are getting fresh air when you can, and maybe taking a daily walk or bike ride. Go on a hike if you need to. Just make sure you're doing so safely with minimal human contact. Number 9, make sure you're getting enough exercise. It is going to be super tempting to just stay on your butt all day if you can't do your normal routine, and you might think, oh, I can't go to the gym, but you can still exercise at home. There is a ton of YouTubers with excellent videos, and they're actually curating them right now for daily workout routines. So check them out. Just type in whatever normal exercise you like to do, and you can probably do it at home. I think we should also enact some sort of like push-up challenge. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd be into. I can't do a pull-up, so I might as well work towards that right now. Number 10 might be like my number 1 most important, and that is call or text or FaceTime a friend. This is gonna get lonely fast, and I think it's gonna be easy to forget about each other. So we can't let that happen. Have to stay connected, even if we can't be in the same room at the same time. So number 11, I'm actually doing right now, and that's to create something. Whatever your creative outlet is, make sure you're making time for it. Some of the first creative outlets that came to mind are like embroidering or drawing or like iPhone photography, or you can learn like basic video editing. I'm sure if you have a computer, there is some built-in software available to you. Don't let yourself go stir crazy. Find a creative outlet that you want to hone. And that leads me to number 12, which is learn a new skill. I was thinking more in line with like languages or learning an instrument or something that might take a lot of time and attention that maybe we don't usually have. But this could totally be some sort of creative skill as well. Number 13, I am actually super excited to handle because I think it's going to have some real long-term benefits, and that is to unsubscribe from your junk mail. And I mean email as well. If you don't know how to do this for your physical like mailers that you don't want, there's gonna be a link in the description below that walks you through like 6 steps on how to make sure you're no longer receiving anything that you don't want or need. I have an atrocious inbox for my personal Gmail account. It gives my husband anxiety every time he opens my home screen. So let's tackle that. Number 14 is to make time to daydream. None of us know what is gonna happen at the end of all this, but we might as well assume the best. So if you haven't done a passion roadmap before, here's a link to my passion planner walkthrough, and maybe you can set a 5-minute timer and see if all of your dreams come true. Or there are some great journaling prompts where like you create your dream life and then reverse engineer it in a similar way. I think it might be helpful to take some time to still plan for the future, even if it may seem a little uncertain at this moment. Daydreaming never hurt anybody, right? Number 15, I'm a huge fan of. If you are feeling down, please put on your favorite album or banger and just dance your butt off for a little bit. Great way to pass the time, raise some endorphins, and you don't even have to interact with other people, because man, I'm a bad dancer and I have to be a little drunk to like do it in the presence of others. So sober, midday, living room, dance on the calendar. Number 16, a great way to engage with your friends during this time of social isolation would be to play games together online. My husband and his homies are part of a WoW guild. Dan, am I saying that right? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Very grateful for that platform at the moment so he can stay engaged with his people and that they have like a communal space where they can all gather. Now that we are getting towards the end of the list, it's time to take care of some adulting. And number 17, if you haven't done this yet, it's a great opportunity to make a budget. Personally, one of the things I would like to learn more about is Excel, and I'm going to do that while creating a better budget. I've been using some pre-made softwares, and I think I could like actually dig in a little more and customize it, especially while, you know, time to tighten those purse strings a bit to make sure that your resources are being allocated in the best way they possibly can. Before you make your budget, you should probably finish your taxes if you haven't done so. If you are an American, April 15th is gonna be here before you know it, so take the next week or two to make sure you get that handled before it's too late. Similar to journaling, but I think this is like a totally different medium. You could start a bullet journal or gratitude journal if you are interested in tracking any daily habits or making a one-stop shop for all of your ideas. If one of the new things you'd like to learn is like how to blog or start a podcast or something like that, a bullet journal can be a great resource. I am not a bullet journal user, but there are a ton of excellent tutorials online. I'm sure if this is something you're into, especially if you are like creative in the visual arts way of like drawing or graphic design, this could be a great outlet for you. Also a huge time suck, which is why I haven't done it yet. Speaking of visual arts, I think the mere act of like getting ready in the morning is gonna make us feel better. And feel free to get like fancy with your fashion choices or your makeup for the day. And please, 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 if not for anyone else but me, share it on your social media. I would love to see it. Help break up that COVID-19 stream of news and information, which is super important. But I think it's important that it's not the only thing we're talking about. I really hope you know my intention here is to share these ideas to help give you positive distractions in what feels like a pretty grim time. Any like panic or anxiety that you are feeling is valid. But as someone who has obsessively worried about the bad outcomes of pretty much everything in her life for 29 years now, I can say with confidence it has not served me well or helped change the outcome of any situation I tried to micromanage. So during this period where you have surplus time, try to use it wisely. Don't let yourself spin out. It's gonna be really easy to do. If you do find yourself spinning out, please check out KATI Morton's video on how to cope with anxiety during COVID-19. And if what you are feeling is beyond the comfort that a YouTube video can provide, I suggest maybe reaching out to a digital therapist. That's how I started a few years ago. I personally used Talkspace for a couple months before I realized I needed something a little stricter. And at that point, I just began seeing a therapist in person. Right now, since that's not an option for most people, this could be a great outlet. So links to Talkspace and BetterHelp below. I'm sure there are other options as well. If you know of one that I didn't list, please leave it in the comments. Number 23, what I find to be another super therapeutic act is to grow something. It's March, babes! Time to plant those seeds. If you don't have seeds, is there something you can repot in your house? Make sure you are taking care of your plant babies during this time. They're here for you. Nurture them. Number 24, I was super excited to find, and I don't know if this was an ongoing resource that I just didn't know about, but there are a lot of really wonderful museums that are offering virtual tours while they are shut down. So a link to a couple of them below, and then a link to an article with more resources right beneath them as well. So I'm fully checking out the Smithsonian. Number 25, we made it. You earned this. Take a 20-minute nap. Maybe not more. Don't just resolve yourself to living under the covers for the rest of the foreseeable future, but get the rest you need. And if you're sick, like, do that exclusively. I personally like a caffeinated 20-minute nap, and there is, oh, I can link to that too. There's a nice guided nap meditation. That one's actually for 30 minutes. I just set my 20-minute timer to go off before it's done. Thanks, honest guys. It's going to be imperative that we stay united as a group, and a huge part of that is going to be abiding by the restrictions that our governments are putting in place to keep the most vulnerable amongst us safe. So you don't need me to tell you again to wash your hands, but please wash your hands. Please don't touch your face. I believe we need to do everything we can to flatten the curve before it overwhelms our hospitals and infrastructures. And if you have a loved one or friend in healthcare, make sure that you are checking in on them as well. I love you all. Please stay safe and healthy and happy to the best of your ability. Let me know in the comments below if you have like an obvious activity that I forgot to list here. I think, again, it's just so important that we're here for each other. Like and subscribe if you want to see what I post next Monday, and stay with me on my intentional journey. Thank you all so much. I love you. See you later.